Yo, what's up, senders? Hey, we are back. Joey Yates, we're back for another episode 109 with Miss Kaylee Gibb.
Nice. Should be a fun one tonight.
Yes, definitely. So, what have you looked at so far on Kaylee Gibb?
Oh, I don't even know if I want to spoil it. I will tell you, she sends like crazy. Like we're talking Red Bull Rampage style right here. She's nuts.
Yes, exactly. I think she first came across my pages on Instagram and I saw her throwing backflips, and it was in that South Utah area. I mean, I feel like that area pumps out so much talent. That hurricane. You can't say hurricane. You got to say hurricane.
Hurricane.
Hurricane. And yeah, I just excited to have her on the show. The latest thing, she was reporting actually from the hospital, so we won't spoil that. We'll let her tell that story. But man, she's a beast. She is a beast. And we got to ask her about the whole like fitness model. What was it, Spandex Model and mountain biker. So we'll ask her about those. And we thought also it would be very cool to have the host of Women's MTV Network join us tonight. Ladies and gentlemen, you have Mia joining us from Southern California. What's up, Mia?
Yay! Hey guys, how's it going? Thanks for having me. I'm so excited.
Mia, that Australian accent got thicker when you went back home. I can hear it.
No, really? No, I'm serious. When I was home, everyone thought I was American. They would asking me how long I've been in Australia, and I'm like, no, I'm Australian. I live in America.
I don't know, Joy. Can you hear it?
I hear it. Yeah.
Yeah.
Hear it.
Oh, it's a good
That's
thing.
a good
Right?
thing.
Yeah.
I think it sounds awesome.
Sure.
Yes, definitely. Hey, any new mountain bike news lately in the local or surrounding areas that you guys know of or are aware of?
Well, for my
Man,
end, from
they got
what
real
I
quiet.
know is we got the International Women's MTV Day coming up on Saturday. And I know Sky Park is doing a really big event. Hopefully it's still going on. I don't know if it snowed up there last night, because it downpoured here.
Yes.
There's so much stuff across the country going on for Women's MTV Day, and Bay Area Bike Project. I was meant to be up there with them this Saturday. Unfortunately, I got back to so much work that I can't even fly out for the day. So, unfortunately.
Yeah, that's a lot going on. I think Dirt Day is going on up north as
Yeah,
well, and everyone's prepping up to get over to Bentonville soon. End of the month, Bentonville Bike Fest is going to be popping off on the 25th through the 28th.
that's right.
Yeah. Yeah, buy
Yeah,
your
that's
tickets.
right.
I'm going to try to get there.
Just
Do a podcast from there,
Right.
like we did in Sedona.
Yes. Oh my gosh, that was so fun. Build a studio at Bentonville and have everybody come over. And then who knows what's going to happen after. How many did we have of the what were they called? What were those beers called? I don't remember. What was that?
I see him everywhere
The
now.
big-
so I've
the
never
big
heard of
heavy?
him. until
Yeah.
then.
Something the Elder.
Yeah.
Pliny? Oh my
I
god,
don't-
beer
yeah,
connoisseurs
let
are
me
like,
text Jeff.
what the
Oh, they're
hell?
freaking out. 'cause I see that beer like daily now.
I know, right? I think it was called Pliny the Elder. Oh my gosh, I am like totally failing on that. Hey, while we have everybody here, let's give out the Whole Shot Award tonight. Whole Shot Award is going out to boom, boom, boom. Trail Pimp, what's up? He says, let's go, homies. Yes, sir. We'll be getting it on soon. Mountain Bike Q&A. We got Johnny U out of Miami in the house. He says, this is really the best. Hey, kids. Hey, Johnny. We got MTV Nick 316. He's out here. What's up? What's up, Nick? Scott Ripple from the Arkansas are in the audience. Speaking of Bentonville, we got Arkansas folks in the audience. Scott Ripple and the Arkansas. I hope to be there at Bentonville Bike Fest, guys. Hope to see you guys out there. And we got one of the trail dogs, Isaiah Bernstein. He's saying, hey. He says, yes, most of the trail dogs will be there. Oh, yeah. Good.
Nice.
That's going to be awesome.
Nice.
Well, without further ado, and I see the Tinkering Cyclist bumped in. He says, what's up? Tinkering Cyclist. I think he's East Coast time. So good to see you, brother. Another person who's going to be on the podcast in the near future. So without further ado, I just wanted to, Joey, do you have any of Kaylee's Instagrams pulled up that we can just introduce her to the audience with a
Where do
clip?
you want to start though?
Yeah.
Man,
The
Yeah.
backflip.
you want to start with the backflip? It's that or what was the one that was the trust where her husband was pedaling the bike and she was steering it? That's another one that's epic.
Want to start there? Okay.
Can we start there? I see she's in the green room and she's like totally blushing. Maybe we shouldn't start there.
We want to start, right? Okay.
You surprise us, Joey. Surprise us. Here it is. And there it goes. YouTube already kicked it off.
Did they?
Wait,
I'll time it just right.
push it again.
So Mark and I have actually been trying to recreate this one. We just can't figure out who's going to pedal and who's going to steer. And I was like, I'll take one for the team and wear a full face and goggles. But I don't know.
Yes, we're trying to recreate this. There's Kaylee.
I think you should both try it.
That's our guest tonight. And this is one of the epic clips. You can find this on Kaylee Gibb on Instagram.
That's amazing.
We go from backflipping a canyon to this. Come on, Mark.
Right. Look at this. This is awesome. And she has a helmet and a cowgirl hat. I love it.
That's so good.
Oh, ladies and gentlemen, what an introduction. We have Kaylee Gibb.
Thanks for the intro, guys.
What's up, Kaylee?
Not much. Just, Supermaning on bikes as often as I can. I had to rechange. We went in after that thing went viral. They actually shadow banned it on my Instagram when I posted it because I posted naked and afraid, and they immediately shadow banned it. And I reposted. I was like, oh, come on, we're all close here. There's nothing going on. And so then they reposted it. That thing has 30,000 shares on my post, but it died. And I had 2,700 shares and got 1 million views on one video. So they killed that video so hardcore. And I'm like, come on, man. We shot for the stars and we hit the moon,
That's right.
It was supposed to be a full Superman, above the head. It was so gnarly. It was how
many takes?
Filming it, it was full gear from head to toe, full face. We practiced in the park a few times, and then I think I broke my rib in between there, so I had to wait 3 months. And then we came back to it, and it was we were really stressed out. We're like, let's go laugh. Let's go make something super funny. And we're like, Brett, it's the middle of the day. It's 100 degrees right now. Nobody's going to be on the trail. Let's go out and film this because we talked about it a few times. But there was no way my feet were getting up. So I literally set them on his shoulder. It was not the intention of that video, but that's how it turned out. And we laughed the whole time. It was so funny. And
who was filming it, Kaylee?
Brett. He's our own. Well, we now have 2 employees. But we have our own little production crew. So we just hired our second guy, who actually is my riding partner, Danny.
Awesome.
So Brett Baldwin, about 1.5 years ago, he was my riding buddy, but then blew himself to pieces, which is kind of typical. And we all go through a riding cycle. So at one point in time when Brett blew himself up, it was instead of riding, because he reached out and I talked to him. I said, why don't you work for us? Buy a drone, buy a camera, get out of debt or get as little debt possible. Cause it's not we're paying great, but we're making this movie and we want to hire you because you have so many skill sets. And he really liked the idea. So we actually got to hire him. I think he's been on payroll for 6 months or something. So he's my go-to guy.
Nice.
That is awesome.
Yeah.
How many takes did that take for you guys? How many takes did it take for you to do that?
There were a couple. Only so many. We tried on a couple different parts of the trail, but the single track that was narrow and off camber was so gnarly. And it's really it's not that bad of a trail. I let my kids ride on it, but there is a cliff edge on a certain few points. It's on more cowbell and dead ringer out if people are familiar with it in Hurricane. But there's a few embankments that we tried going on, and I was like, I really don't want to break my teeth at, and I really don't want to fall down that embankment. So we tried a few times on a few spots. It had to be the perfect grade where it would carry us down the hill because we had practiced with him pedaling. And the pedaling was gnarly because it would bounce back and forth because you literally have to stay in plank position. I had to fully steer, which it was so gnarly. I was so glad when we were done. I did fall into the bush once head first, and he grabbed both my legs and pulled me up because I fell off the front of the bike. So we did have one crash, And then Brett made us laugh. I'm like, you cannot make me laugh while doing this because I am like fully flexed right now. And the moment I laugh, it like softens my body and I like end up on the handlebars. And I'm like, don't make me laugh. So it took us a few shots, probably like 4 or 5 there in each spot 4 or 5 times.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
I'm just thinking of you guys. If I heard that right, you guys practiced the original scene in a park, and I can just see these kids going, "Mommy, what are they doing?"
Well, actually, it was the last day of school. I know exactly the day because my daughter was sick, and I was like, "Let's go to the park. You lay on a blanket." She's like, "I don't feel good." I was like, "We practice," and so she's like on a blanket, and we're like rolling around the duck pond, like trying to figure out how the heck we're gonna like get my feet above his head. It was so bad.
That is so funny.
There will be a sequel, but I can't tell my secrets. But there will be a sequel. So we are gonna practice something else. Now it's unfortunately 4 to 6 months out. So
yes,
should do it behind the scenes when you do it.
Oh, that's the second half of like hiring Danny. It's like half the crap we do. The funny part is in the doing it. Like, like we have so much behind the scenes right now that we're filming for the movie because we've been filming for the last like 3 years, just documentary style. And I'm like the behind the scenes. And my husband's just standing here earlier. He's like, they're going to be like PG-13 or kind of like R-rated. Like the movie will be G, but our behind the scenes are probably not going to be like the most kid.
The uncut director's edition.
Yeah,
it's we laugh a lot. Like making the crap is pretty dang funny.
Kaylee, take us to this whole idea of the movie, and where did that stem from, and what can we look forward to? What's kind of like the theme of this?
Okay, so rewind, like back to the beginning of biking. I had no idea what the sport was. I showed up to Red Bull Rampage with my girlfriend. And she's like, "Oh my gosh, you're going to meet my friend Ryan. You're going to love this." And I'm like, "Okay, whatever." We showed up to 2004 Rampage and I was like, these people have a death wish. Like, what are they doing? Like, absolutely no idea of what the sport was. So I met Ryan that day. I backflipped off everything from the time I was a kid, like diving boards, cliffs, anything high. I was always a backflipper. So I got into the sport. I started having some kids, but I always had this like thought that I could backflip a bike. One time there was a ramp set up on a dock and we backflipped a BMX into the water 3 times. I landed on my head once, landed almost all the way around, and then I came around. But the water was so cold, that was all the motivation I could get was to try it like 3 times. But that was like the one and only time I ever flipped a bike was this little BMX thing that they'd stuck a life jacket on. And that was probably my daughter's born in 2012. It was probably like 2010. Maybe I did that. So I did actually do it to water once. And then all while having kids, I just had this like inclination of like, I want to flip a bike. I want to I feel like I can do it. And when we knew we were done having kids and I had this like 18-hour drive, I was like sitting in the car, super caffeinated. All 3 kids. I was driving by myself back from Canada. Here was like a 22-hour drive. Sure. And I just was like, that's it. I'm like, I'm going to do it. I'm like, now or never. We just spent 7 weeks at Whistler. So I did it. Long story short, it was like practiced. I almost broke my ankle practicing on my airbag. I had to take a month off. Got it kind of worked out. Came back to the airbag. Practiced another like 3 weeks. Took it to dirt, but then broke my collarbone. But I got the footage of doing it. And I went to Sea Otter with a broken collarbone. And I was like, yo, look what I'm doing. You guys want to sponsor me? So I picked up actually quite a few sponsors at Sea Otter that year.
Wow.
And my husband had been working with Teton Gravity and with Tyler McCall, Cam McCall. Cam, on this movie idea. And it was kind of this idea of like 27 stories. It was like something to do with like how many spokes there were. Okay. And so what we were going to do is integrate one of the stories that Cam McCall was going to tell to his kids in the movie was going to be me. So I was going to have a segment in the movie. So that's kind of how it originally started was, wow, I want to do this. Like, I don't know how I'm going to be. I wanted to kind of be a professional athlete for just a minute. Like just to say I did it. Like I felt like I've always had this talent that I could, but I had a lot of other things that were priorities. So we started filming with TGR and we filmed a couple of, I don't know if you guys have seen From the Ash. That was my husband's like baby project from that. We kind of traded them. So they took some of the footage and we took from the Ash, and they actually finished the movie and we kept from the Ash, just because time wise it just split. And so we split with them and we kept one of the projects, and the movie went a completely different direction. And my husband's like, we really should just make you the focus of the movie. And it's morphed over the last 3 years of doing it just as the documentary of like why you did it, what it's taken to do this, how it's morphed over 5 years because it's taken that long. Like I was like, oh yeah, I'll do this like a year or 2 years. Here I am 5 years later.
Still getting the scenes in. But I mean, also tabled by a little bit of injury. Like obviously life happens, kiddos, everything else, but you're doing it. So you're 5 years in. How far along are you in the project?
Well, I don't know if you guys are like major life cycle buffs. So my husband did life cycles, and from beginning to end, it was like 4-year project. So they filmed the beginning of the film, went to Shimano and was like, hey, you guys want to sponsor us? So Shimano sponsored them $50,000, and they went and bought the red camera. So then they started the project over again and refilmed everything. So it's kind of been how we've done it. We actually kept the red from life cycles. We started filming with it, but then we sold our house. We moved into our trailer permanently. So this is our trailer that we live in. So we're full gypsy. So we pulled it onto my brother's property now. It was at my mom's. We've moved it to Canada and back. But so we've been doing full gypsy, and kind of it's morphed over the last 3 years. So we have some really cool, because it's going to be a story. It's going to be like a proper documentary. There's going to be a lot of integrated like reasoning of why I do things, a few scripted things of my life, like how I got here. There's an incredible pool scene. We put a clip. I think there used to be, I'm trying to think on my Instagram, there used to be, I put a secret clip up of one of the pool shots that we did. We did an underwater shooting scene. So we made this crazy, when I was broken and I had one arm, and I went and sat on some totally ditched plumbing pipe out of like, they had dug it all up in a neighborhood and they're getting ready to throw it away. And so I may have went and sawed with a hacksaw and sawed off
right,
like a 2-foot piece of pipe that's like 75 pounds, and like rolled it down the hill and like threw it in the car. And we made underwater housing for our red camera for that. So that's the opening scene of the movie, and it's crazy. And Ryan's like, yeah, we'll probably have to refilm it since we got all new lenses. And I'm like, oh my gosh, does it ever end? He's so creative. And everybody's blown away by the footage we've gotten. And he's like, yeah, it's not perfect yet. I'm like, we dropped into a pool so many times I bleached out my entire outfit. Like my shoes are brown, they were black. Like I've gone through everything's like the elastic in the shirt is all like popped out. And it's like we spent a month in that pool. There was a lot of sopping wet days. So we've started the project multiple times. There's random stuff filmed. There's all the behind the scenes. So we got new phones and stuff. There'll be lots of in the moment. There's some really big tearjerkers of 2 years ago, right during the formation time was when I was trying to do my underflip to dirt, and I tried for 7 days in a row, and it was like sit for an hour while the wind was going. It was like, it's like, okay, go, you have 30 seconds. I'm like, oh, I got a wind gap. Let's do this. And it's like mostly dark and the lip is dark. And so there's some gnarly, just like head games and I didn't get it. I tried for 7 days, and like we had to like bring people out and call in favors and drive 3 hours. And it's just like, so there's lots of footage. So now it's really just our life. Like the whole thing is going to be a documentary. It's about our truck, like giving up one of our other trucks so we could keep, like when COVID hit, we sold one of our trucks. So we're like, do we spend a summer in Whistler, or do we like go into another state and get another job?
Summer in Whistler sounds pretty awesome.
We sell a truck that's worth something, and we just blow all the money on rent in Whistler instead of. So that's exactly.
I would have done the same thing.
Me too. Yeah, memories, baby.
Yep. So now we have Janice. Our truck is her name. You guys are all in. I don't know if you saw that viral video. There's the little heavyweight child who's sitting in the slingshot, and I swear it's his aunt. It's got to be his aunt, and she may be slightly tipsy. Her name's Janice, sitting in the seat next to him. Janice, help me, Janice! and he's like choking out in the seat, like getting like beat to death, and she's sitting there dying laughing, like horse laughing. And so we're sitting driving to Texas, and our car just spews out coolant all over the freaking freeway, and we're sitting on the side of the road. I'm like, gosh dang you truck. It's like spewed oil all over it. It's got like ovalized head tubes. And I'm like, this truck, we've named her Janice. And it's like, and it's from that thing, because she just laughs at us. Like, she just keeps going, but she laughs at us a lot. So Janice has her whole own segment in the movie. So it's gonna be like crazy stylized. Like Ryan went and did an accurate job not that long ago, and it's like this really sexy car commercial, and he's like, oh my gosh, we're gonna do probe lenses across the seat where it's like ripped out like interior and like doing all like tailpipe. They called it Topo Chico. Is this like bubbly water?
The water, yeah.
And they dumped it in the pipes of this like really crazy accurate commercial. Only the best for the commercial. So they stuck Topo Chico in it. We're like Topo Chico, the muffler, and like blow it out the back and like film it like a freaking accurate commercial. So Janice will have her own segment in the movie. So it's just stuff like that. It's like our whole life is a freaking movie.
That's so fun. That's
awesome.
Fun.
Yeah, it's so much fun.
You could see it on the Instagram when you're looking at it. And then even when I was texting you before Sedona Mountain Bike Fest, we were going to try to get together there. And you're like, I'll be there with the kiddos and we're running around. I was like, oh man, I'll catch Kaylee afterwards.
I was so sad. That was such a joke. Well, our camper wasn't in the truck, and it's extremely scary to get the camper in the truck because it's ghetto as well. And one of the 4 jacks on it is kind of messed up. I may have broken the cinder block when we were lowering it, and the whole thing like almost fell over. So to get it in the truck is a nightmare. And we got it in to come to Sedona, and then it just starts dumping snow. And we're like, do we really want to drive a 3,000-pound camper down that like canyon? And it was like, and then have the kids for 3 days inside the camper because everything's super wet. I was like, this sounds miserable.
Yeah. Good choice. Bail out.
We bailed hard.
There were a lot of people that bailed. I think that last bit of road was closed the night before. Mia, you squeaked in just in the nick of time, yeah?
I was there the week before. I ended up spending 2 weeks in Sedona. It's my home away from home. So I got in like the Monday of the week of the festival. God. So we lucked out because I think we were texting the day you guys were coming up, and I said, dude, it hasn't stopped snowing in like 5 hours.
Yeah, you're like, the pass is closed, like that last part. I'm like, we're already on the road, so we'll just see what happens.
He sent a photo, and I think I stared at it for 3 hours, and I was like, you sure, Mark? You sure?
Exactly.
Did you make it through that pass before they closed it?
Luckily, they closed it the night before, Kaylee, and then the next day we had made it, and by the time we finally got there, it melted enough for us to go through. They reopened it, so it was like perfect timing. Kind of like for us, it was dumb luck. But when we got there, there was nothing to ride.
The Roger from Kenda was like, all the Shimano guys have been inside their house for 3 days. He's like, they haven't left. He's like, don't come. He's like, don't come. I was like, okay, that sounds fairly terrible. Not come.
Yeah.
It
so my apologies. Yes, we would have done this in Sedona, but it wasn't worth the drive.
Yeah, no, don't worry about that. I'm glad that you guys made the right choice. Lauren out of Miami is saying, in my next life, I'll have this level of motivation and balls. Good for you. Can't wait to see the documentary. Kaylee, when you were learning the backflips, I didn't realize this, but there's one of the clips on your Instagram where you initiate the backflip and you kind of freeze. Like something happens, you freeze, and the bike goes taking off, and you kind of land on your, like the back of your neck, shoulders. Was that the clip where you broke your collarbone?
No, we were a little worried about insurance, so we didn't actually post the clip of the collarbone. I don't know if I did post it. I did post it because we ironed all those issues out, and I have 3 different insurances that cover all of my breaks. But I had to have it twice. So I thought for sure I could do 99 for 100 flips on my airbag every time. Like I had it dialed. So when I took it to dirt the first time, the first 3 flips were like all committed. Like there was nothing in my mind but commitment, like pull, like, oh yeah. I shorted the first one, went over the front and like slid down the hill, pulled the second one, landed on the bike and bounced off. third one, I pulled it perfectly, rode out. And actually the video of me finishing it is actually me with a broken collarbone. We went up and filmed like the celebration afterwards because Pink Bike wanted like an edit from it. And I was like a month out from having done it. And I had it like shattered in like 10, it was actually this one like shattered in like 10 pieces. And Ryan's like, well, can you hold on to your bike? So that me riding into that flip, I actually still had like mushy shoulder. And then the finish was faked as well. But so on the fourth one, my girlfriend Chelsea was there and she's like, you should do another one because it'll make it easier. Like, and I agreed, but I also was like fighting in my mind of like, I did one, I walk away, let's be done with this.
Right.
But
Check
it was
that
like,
box
at the
and
same
let's
time,
roll.
I get the mentality of doing it again and it solidifies, and it solidifies those neuron pathways. And it is one of those things that you get the neuron depression the more you do it correctly. So I went back up, and as I'm coming into the ramp, it's pretty iconic. So the thing about it was really cool because it's right where I met Ryan. It's right where I was introduced to mountain biking. And it was the first backflip in Rampage was on those jumps. So I thought it was pretty cool. Nobody else would do it because it was this giant, like 15-foot lip. They're like, oh, this is a good one to do it on. I'm like, well, who's going to do it? They're like, no, none of us. So I was like, sweet, all by myself, like trying it for the first time. Like it was like random group of people. And the fourth one, I had an argument with myself up the lip. It's windy. It's not windy. No, it's windy. You're being a pansy. No, stop it. Just do it. And I'm like coming off the lip. And so I kind of like pull funny. And I just pulled at an angle. So I came up and over angled and I didn't really touch down the tires. And when I hit the ground, it went shoulder first into the ground. And it just snapped. And come to find out, that's 7 pounds of pressure. It doesn't take much. Like it wasn't, I've crashed way harder and not broken anything. And it just like crumpled it into pieces.
Just the way you hit it was perfect, right?
Yeah. I hit it perfect. I thought I tore my shoulder. So I saw 2 doctors and they said it's not broken. Nobody x-rayed me. And I said, I just need an MRI. I want to know if I tore my rotator cuff. So I made it almost 14 days. No, I made it 10 days. And then I deadlifted in between that 50 pounds.
What?
Oh my God.
And then I make it to the MRI the day before we fly to Jackson to talk about the TGR movie. So I'm in the MRI and the guy looks at me and goes, did you see real doctors? How did you get the rec to come in here? I was like, no, I saw 2 doctors, like 2 separate doctors. And I was like, I can do this. See, it doesn't hurt. So it's not broken. I can actually pick up my shoulder, but I was using my other arm, just like I can do right now. I was like, see, I can pick up my arm. And he goes, I'm not supposed to do this, but on your MRI, I think there's at least 5 pieces in there. He's like, he's very broken.
Gosh. And you were dead with that.
Oh, yeah. As long as I have proper form, it was fine. I didn't use my collarbone. I was just so bad.
Oh my gosh.
You must have an intense. I thought I had a lot of pain tolerance, but this is next level.
It's
How
so
are you
bad.
not? Oh my God.
It's really bad. And it gets so bad that like during, like I'll go back to pregnancy. I had, for anybody who's a children, you get tested often for eclampsia, for preeclampsia. And my midwife was crazy on it. She was in my town. We have 3,500 people. And I was 3 of her patients for the month. And she was testing me and I went in. My husband took a job, his first commercial job ever paid, directing in Minnesota. And I was 2 weeks out from giving birth to our first daughter. And I went in and she starts testing me and she's like, you need to stay for a stress test. I was like, okay, whatever. She's like, oh, it's good. You got your like help person here. I was like, whatever. And she's like, well, and I had like a urine test and she's like, are you feeling okay? I was like, I feel great. I went for a bike ride yesterday. I like walked all over town. My feet are flat. I can't see my toes. My legs have pitted edema all over them. She's like, well, you should feel like you're dying right now. And I was like, well, I feel fine. She's like, no, you're like dying. Like legitimately, you should be hospitalized. Like we're not letting you go. Like they kept me in the hospital, induced me twice, and my husband had to fly back in. So I don't know. There's something off in my body for sure. There's something wrong with me.
Wow. And I think there's something wrong with you. I just admire the pain tolerance and the perseverance that you have to keep it going.
My gosh.
My husband at the ER the other night was like to the doctor, no, you understand she's laughing and telling pervy jokes, but you know, she's probably like actually really broken. Like you should see the crash. Like this isn't normal. Like there's something for sure wrong with her. Like I know she doesn't seem like it. You should probably scan her internal organs and make sure there's no bleeding. They actually did. They scanned me to make sure I wasn't bleeding from the inside. And he's like, yeah, you probably like tore your deltoid. He's like, but I can pull down. He's like, nah. He's like, it's not the AC. He's like, but we'll get you an MRI. I'll personally wreck the MRI, like get it for you sooner, because it's like several days out that they usually do it. Anyway, so back to the backflip story. So that one you're referring to.
Is this it?
Nope. That one. No, that one's not it. But that's over at ramp camp.
Damn.
No big deal. That's not it, but it's just me doing it.
That's
That's no big deal.
Oh my God.
This was me trying to break my curse. It took me like 3 years to figure out how to flip to dirt without breaking myself, because the first two broke me,
Wow.
like legitimately broke me into pieces. Like, so first flip, I had this mental battle, broke my collarbone, and then actually 6 months later, because it didn't heal all the way, because they would have done surgery had they known it was broken, because it was past the millimeters, and so the bones passed themselves and stopped fusing. So when I was on my airbag one day, I heard like a little, and I was like, oh, you gotta be kidding me. I like fell over, and it was like, I just re-broke my collarbone. And so I did. And I went to this doctor, Randy Clark, that I'm going to see again. And he's like, yeah, it's actually probably a good thing because it stopped tack welding. So because I popped it, it actually finished fusing. So I had to stay off. It was like a mild break comparative to the first one. So it just re-agitated the bones. But what was worse, though, was actually my mental. So the viral video that you're referring to in all red is on the Bizette jumps. And I did the exact same thing. I went up, jumped it a bunch of times. I did one flip, absolutely perfect. Went back up and like coming into the lip, I was like, oh, do I have enough speed? Is there wind? I think there might be wind. And I'm like in mid-air at that point going, dang. I didn't pull. I don't have a single pop to this. I'm upside down. And now what am I going to do? So I literally free fell. That's the
There
one.
you go.
I should have broke my neck.
My gosh.
I should have broke my neck. I should have done so many things. And as a professional athlete, you cannot do this. This is not acceptable. So I've in life, I've always given myself the 3-strike rule. And that was it for me. That was strike 2. If I ever do it again, I'll walk away from the sport, like completely. Like it's not okay. Like if you're going to commit to something like that, that's life altering, you have to be able to 100% commit. It can't be like, oh, I don't know what I'm doing. I'm going to like half-a this. I'm 10 years old and I have rubber bones. It's like, no, I have a family, people I care about, and a life that I want to live. And that destroyed me. It took me almost a year to come back mentally from. Like I had sports therapy. I did deep yoga and I listened to Rise of Superman, which is an amazing book. I listened to it. It was so annoying that my girlfriend was like, can you please shut that off? Like whenever we're bike riding, I'm like listening to it on speakerphone. I'm like, I got this. Have you heard this story? I'm like, have you heard of Danny Way? He's crazy. Like, I didn't even know who he was. So it was like between sports therapy and literally retraining myself how to like flip again. It was that the one with that hot yellow shirt on was like one of like 3 flips of coming back being like, I didn't break myself. Oh my gosh, I flipped to dirt. And I'm like, not broken. Like, this is amazing. So that one where I free fell, I tore my hamstring halfway. Like
I was gonna say your left leg like went
it kicks like all the way over my head. And I'm pretty dang flexible. Like I can almost do the splits. And that was just, and it ripped half my hamstring. Like it was knotted under my butt for about 1.5 years after that. So it took a long time to come back from it. The road rash sucked.
Yeah. Was that all on your back?
I walked away from that. I should not have walked away from that. Like there's so many people that fall like that and never walk again. So
yeah. It looked like, I mean, luckily you had that nice Liat neck brace and
people comment on that video. Why aren't you wearing protective gear? I'm like, you understand I have ankle braces, shin guards, knee pads, hip pads, a back brace, and a neck brace, plus like one of the highest rated helmets. I actually do have all the pads.
You had it all. Yeah, you had it all.
I'm like, they're just form fitting. So it doesn't look like it, but I literally wore every single pad.
Yeah. And you had legit stuff on too. So not like you weren't cutting any corners. That was gnarly. I just noticed the way, obviously I noticed the way your head like kind of whipped to the side, but the way your left leg just kind of like went way back too. It just happens.
I lucked out because of the steepness of that landing. I hit it at a pretty good pitch, and it's a pretty, I'll use both my hands. It's a pretty steep jump. It's a pretty steep landing. So
kids are pain.
I know.
That's the bad part is like, I should be in a sling, but I'm like, it's really nice to not be in a sling. And I can actually use my bicep again, like pretty good because there's, multiple bicep. I'm
there's
being
two.
a sling and wear your sling. It's good for you. I have a doctor's appointment tomorrow. If I'm going to get surgery, I'll probably get surgery and it's whatever.
Kaylee, you're gonna check in with the chats real fast. We just got a super chat that came in from Trail Monster for $10. He goes, "Hey, they're my buds, Mark and Joey. Little something to support the podcast. Mia, was good seeing you out in Sedona. Gotta watch the rest tomorrow. Oh, may the 4th be with you all." And may the 4th
Forgot
be
about
with you,
that.
sir.
May the 4th.
And back up here, when we first started talking about you, we got this up here. It said they recognized you from that first intro clip, and it said, "Oh my gosh, I'm sorry, the chats we're way up here." It basically said, "I've seen her before," is what it was saying. And Kaylee, the one thing I wanted to ask you, when you were coming back, sports psychology is huge for these professional athletes. And when you're making your redemption runs back at the lip to get that backflip dialed in, you read Rise of Superman, like getting into the zone, being in the present. What did you do to clear out all those voices and all that stuff going on in your head in order to execute that flip to come back? Was there a trick to it? Were you just determined? Can you take us back to that moment?
There's a lot. I mean, if I were to break down, there were kind of accidental happenings that actually helped get back to my base level. So in my jump setup, I have a middle jump that is a 9-foot lip with a 12-foot gap to my airbag.
Good grief.
And the next one over is an 8-foot lip that's kind of turned. Yeah. So the right ramp actually is slightly turned to the left. It's got a mini hip in it.
Oh, wow.
And one day, so that's like me learning I learned another cool thing. Andrew Huberman is my like main guy right now. So when you're learning a trick and you're training your brain, it's actually really good to name your golf stroke. It's going to be golf stroke 1B. It's going to be whatever. And I had no idea this. I just learned this the other day. So when I was doing those, in order to eliminate fear and all of like the congestion that goes on, I sit at the top of the jump and you try to simplify because you black out when you do the first flip. Like you legitimately you yank with all of your muscles, with all of your might, you push in with all of your legs. And sometimes people will re-look forward and then you land on your back. You land like on your head, whatever. So the more you can eliminate from your mind and go super simple, strong legs and smell your armpit. So I called it the stinky. So by doing that, I have the mini stank, the super stank, or the mini stank, the major stank, and the super stank. And the super stank goes like completely perpendicular with the lip.
Super extended, right?
Yes. So super stank is like, has the craziest feeling. I accidentally started doing those because I came into the lip hot, the right one that's slightly left. And I flipped it just doing a no look. So I like look through my arms and just pause my head. And I ended up going completely diagonal across the entire bag and falling off the other side into the mold on the ground. So I went 25 feet across the landing. And I was like, that was crazy. I wonder if I could do it on purpose. Because it was a complete accident. Like I just like literally launched myself diagonally. So that's how I started learning underflip. Well, it's a mix, underflip, whatever you want to call it, barrel roll. And that actually started helping me go back. Okay, so this is like a major stank. That one was so fun.
Whoa.
So that one goes completely perpendicular with the lip. And you literally, it's like a movement of a mix of a no look. So you look really deep into your armpit and your bike just kind of goes, flips up and then turns. So by learning these, it made the backflip simpler and less complicated and less of an ordeal. So when we got to my airbag, I had this buddy, Scott. He broke his femur lately, so hasn't been able to ride for 6 months.
Oh, gosh.
My original jumping buddies, we'd show up and be like, all right, first trick is a backflip. And you go to the top, and you do the biggest one, and you pedal like 5 times in the middle and do like a 30-foot backflip. That is like well, I guess it's like 28 feet. If you don't go to the crease, if you hit the crease, you're at like 31 feet. So we make ourselves go up to the top And every time I jump my airbag, you do a 30-foot flip or whatever. So it like rebuilds your brain stamina. Like, it's crazy. But that's like one of those, like, it's like this crazy muscle of like calming. I've done a lot of deep breathing, a lot of journeys, a lot of realigning like with the earth and like talking to myself and like God is good and like just focus on look at where I'm at. It's so pretty and beautiful. And like, if I dedicate to doing this, it does not mean I won't get hurt. But if I dedicate to doing it, I've committed 100%. So I leave nothing behind. If I break myself, that happens. But if I half commit, that's a huge issue. And since that viral video, I've been 100% dedicated the entire time. Because if I, like I said, I'm 100% in. And if I get to that point where I can no longer commit, I should not be doing the sport. And no one should. Like, if you're at that point in your career, in your sport of whatever you're doing, you really should walk away, because that is so dangerous. Like, so dangerous. So yeah, that's kind of where I was at from that flip. It destroyed me. It was a really long comeback. Like, physically, no, whatever. I've had way worse injuries. Mentally, yeah, that one was really tough.
Wow. Just because the what ifs, right? Like, what could have happened where people have really gotten broken off that way. God, that's so psychological.
And I don't think I posted that video for like 2 years. I think it was 2 years before I posted it.
Wow.
So
when you were saying naming the trick or naming something of the trick, Joey's getting attacked by a tire back there. Is that to help like really drill in that neural pathway, that new neural pathway that you're building?
There's a recent Andrew Huberman podcast about, I listened to way too many, so I don't know. It's in one of my podcasts. He calls it neuron depression. He's like, but you don't think of it as a depressed thing. But what's happening is if you look at your brain pathways and then you look at a golf swing and you start and you draw lines with each swing, it will be left, it'll be right, it'll be in the middle. He's like, but as you do it, and he said in a practice, like when you do a set practice, you should do about 75 of them if you can do them in 3 to 5 seconds. So for me to do 75 flips would take me like all day. That would not work. But I can do them in my mind as well, which helps, but not as much as they once thought. So he said, as you're firing, all these neurons are all active in that golf swing. But as you're doing it and you name it, saying, this is going to be my golf swing 1A, you're training your brain to try to hit right down the middle. And as you do, you have less firing neurons. You get neuron depression. So you're actually shutting off. The trick should become easier. Your body awareness should become like when we watch these slopestyle guys, they're literally like cats. You're like, how did they crash off that 20-foot drop, roll out of it, get up and do it again? Like, what the crap? Like, it's amazing.
Shout out to David Lieb. Heck yeah.
Yeah. These BMXers, skateboarders that fall several hundred times in one session, their body is so cat-like and reflexive because they've trained their neurons to be that way. And so they fire so fast. So for us, like learning these things, especially being older, I'm like twice the age of 90% of the people I ride with, their neuron plasticity is so much softer than mine that they can learn. They don't have a definitive timeline or responsibilities. So that takes their awareness way down and they're way more willing to try dangerous things. And their progression levels are way higher and faster than mine as well. But as we all know, old dogs still can learn new tricks. So.
Yeah. You're the only one hitting the 15-foot lip too, by the way. So
probably out of stupidity of going, I don't know. I had at least like 5 people tell me this was a good backflip jump. And now I look back and I'm like, who thought that was a good idea? It was such a big jump. And it still is. I've never flipped it again. And it's not one that I jump and I'm like, yeah, I want to flip this again. I'm like, no.
Oh man, that sounds so gnarly. It sounds so gnarly. Mountain Bike Q&A is saying she's sick. Yes, you got a fan out there in Miami. Trail Pip is saying Jackson Hole is sick. Johnny, I love to snowboard at Jackson. We saw Lauren saying, no one saw it, Joy. You're all good. Nothing to see here. Oh, and the tire attacked you. Captain's Kong is saying, well, hello there. Well, hello there, Kaylee. So what is this, while we're on that, well, hello there. What is this fitness model thing that you have? Are you a fitness model turned mountain biker?
This is more recent. Like my husband loves artistic photos and I love being strong. So it's like a big thing for me, but it's been a really like body image issues have been a huge thing of mine. Like I struggled in college with food. I still do. Like it's like a coping mechanism. Like my dad died when I was 17. And so I went straight to food as like my outlet. And so eating healthy has always been like massively on my mind. Like watching someone degrade and die slowly from cancer, you learn so much about food and nutrition and what's important to your body. And so for the last 20 years, I've tried to implement those foods, and I've always been active and I love sports and love being outside. But over the last 5 years of injury, rehab, injury, rehab, injury, rehab, I've hated the gym. And only during all these rehab and things, I've realized how much I love the gym. The gym has like allowed me, it gives me such a good mental place, like listening to the podcasts and stuff on Andrew Huberman, learning how to like raise your dopamine trough, which allows you to stay in better mood and more mentally able to handle things. You get 65 times your dopamine trough if you have a steady workout program. So if you take cocaine, it's 1,000 times. That's why it's so addicting and it's immediate. But these are like long-term things and natural like things that you can do. And my husband's always like, you know, you're ripped, you love it, like it's so good for you. And it's so hard for me at the same time. I'm like, yeah, I'd like to be like this. I want to be this much stronger. I want to be able to do a handstand push-up. And he's like, you got to understand where you are. So we went out and took some fun pictures, and I'm always like, oh yeah, wow, I guess I am fit. Like it's such like a surprise, like, oh hey, I ate a bowl of cereal. I'm not 300 pounds overweight, but it's such a surprise. It's the weirdest. Like people look at me and think I have it together, and I'm like, I'm just figuring it out. Like I go to the gym literally so I can look in the mirror and go, hey, oh yeah, I'm still working out. I'm still fit. I haven't been for 2 days, but I might not be fit anymore. But I just need to make sure I am. Like it is the craziest. I don't know, it's a bit on the obsessive side, but just recently I've been able to overcome another huge hurdle because I have a sweet tooth that I absolutely love, and it destroys my body. My stomach is upset. And so recently it's taken like 2 months to get back on the train of things. But being someone who's fairly like obsessive about things, I need something to focus on. And so I've re-switched again to protein. And so my focus is just protein, trying to get in 150 grams of protein is insanely hard to eat in a day.
Wow.
Like really hard. So I make it to maybe 120, 130 on good days, maybe 150, but you really don't have very many calories to eat after that. So you focus less on not eating sweets and focus more on eating protein. And it literally is in every form, in eggs, in all of my smoothies. I have these mates that I make that I absolutely love. And I love sharing my tips with other people because there are so many people that struggle with the same thing. So I'm one of those people, like I will tell the good, the bad, and the ugly. Like there are things that work and there are things that don't. So my fitness thing is, that's like, I have this list of goals that I want to do. And I love I trained once for a bikini fit contest in between having kids, and I got really hangry. It wasn't very nice. And I was like, do I want to be a mom or do I want to be hangry? And so I was like, I need to do something with the 3 months of training that I just did. So I went and competed in a Super D enduro race in our town. And I won. And I was like, yes! It wasn't for nothing. And I was actually pregnant, come to find out. So
oh my gosh.
It was like, I bet you I'm 1 week pregnant doing this race. That was my bet, because during like training, I couldn't get pregnant and I stopped training. I ate carbs for like 3 days and I literally got pregnant the next week.
Wow.
So I trained once to do the fitness thing, and it's pretty gnarly. And those girls are crazy. Now I train to be strong. Like I love, like, I want to just be strong. It makes me feel so much better. This form is a little bit bad. I know I got some hate on it.
This is, look at that. How many plates is that? Jeez,
I did
girl.
190 pounds, but like with my form, I probably should have stayed with 185 for another week. So I was working. I got a ton of advice, really, really good advice. I absolutely love. So I was in between a sumo and I was in between like a regular deadlift. So sumo, you spread your legs really far apart, but I was kind of like playing with my stance. So I'm learning about, I've never lifted like this before. Wow. And it's really exhilarating. And I'm not competitive at all. That it may have stemmed from a Casey Brown post a 1.5 years ago, posting how much she could deadlift. And I was like, I want to see if I can deadlift that. And I couldn't get 160 pounds off the ground. I couldn't move it. Like, like nothing, like no grip strength, like nothing off the like. So I went from that to having 160 be my like 70% now. So
Dang.
it's been
Dang.
awesome. Like it's pretty cool.
Yeah, you can see the stoke right there when you finish that set.
That was
Wow.
coming out of a month of rain, and I like I get really bluesy like during rainy. Like that's why we move. We move a lot just because of me. Like I love it. Like 100%, I'll own it. Like we leave. It rains, I'm out. Like see you later. I'll come back when it's nice. Like so I had like a solid month of this like total rainy blues. I was like, this sucks. I was like, I'm gonna go smash it at the gym. I was like, I don't know if I can pick this up, but I'm going to anyways. And yeah, it turned my day around.
You motivated me because it had been raining, and I was just like, gosh, I just need to go do something. And I picked up Instagram. I saw you getting after it during the rains. And so I ended up getting back in the boxing gym. And then Mia was like texting me like, yo, I see you punching on a punching bag. I'm going to get one of those. So you like started like a whole domino effect here.
Yeah. Well, now for me, that's just what it is. I want to get back into it after being a few months off, and you just completely inspired me. I already am going to start going back and I have a gym at the bottom of my house that I built. And yeah, I want to do an enduro race next year. So I need to get at it. And it's like you said, I want to be strong. You know, that's the motivator. It's always like in the back of your head. You have to think, what do you want? What is your goal? You know, it's not going to happen overnight. You just want to be strong. So that's like, I'm writing that down and I'm going to put it in front of my computer every day. And I'm going to think of you.
I want to be strong.
Yeah. I know I told my boxing coach, I'm like, this is good for my dexterity and like ability to like handle situations when things have to happen fast, right? I need to be able to put my hands out or roll or run out of things. And then they got me in the weights too, because it's not if we're going to pay dirt tax, it's when we're going to pay that dirt tax. And are we going to be able to bounce or are we going to crumble? So trying to do the best to get it kind of dad bought off. Try to get hard, but you know how it goes. I'm saying.
It progressively gets better.
Yes. Mountain Bike Q&A, Johnny saying, I recently wrecked and it's still in my head on certain features now. How do you overcome that in your head syndrome?
Go back to smaller ones that make you feel like a champion.
Ooh, that's good.
You gotta feel like you gotta feel champion. You gotta be like, this was so like, if you go back to where you're still questioning yourself, you are in a defensive position on your bike. You'll be stiff. You will not ride as good. Go back to where you feel like a champion. Go on a blue run. Go on a 1 foot drop that you're like, I could Manny off this. I could nose Manny down it. I could do one-handed ride down it, squeeze your seat and do something stupid right off a curb with one hand holding your seat. Like do something like that's so dumb that makes you feel so good, and you slowly work back into it because you have to shake the cobwebs out. It does not just come back. Like it's not just like, oh hey, I'm just coming off this injury, I'm just gonna go back up and bust a 30-foot backflip. Mind you, I probably will, but that's totally different because it's into my airbag, and that's like I have to. It's like a rule. It's like an unwritten rule. But like tell me to go drop a 30-foot drop that I've dropped before, like after surgery. No way. I'll be doing a 1 foot to 2 foot drop for months before I like work back up. I will not like that kind of crap is not okay. Like you've got to feel confident and be an aggressive position on your bike. That's all there is to it.
Yeah.
And then it'll come back. Sure. It does.
Yeah, that's good. Build that confidence back up. That's yeah, that mental. So yeah, so for Johnny, he had this crash. I saw the post. He was on a wooden feature and he was in the wrong gear at the wrong speed. And the thing kind of dipped and turned to the left. And you hear his front tire make that weird squeak sound when it just kind of like jackknifes. And off the feature, he went and landed in a palm tree that somebody had just cut part of the palm off. And what was left was like this really hard piece of tree. And it stabbed him right in the back on the way down. So he's got to overcome that, which is great what you said. Build that confidence back up.
Yeah, you got, and it always, one of the big things we've talking about in our group and friends and stuff, it has to be more fun than it's not. If you're not having fun, why are you doing it? Like if it scares you so bad to the point where your confidence is down, you've got to find a joy in it, make sure that it's still fun. Like it's got to still be worth it because the risk has to, like our reward has to be way bigger than the risk. Yes. I mean, the risk is pretty high with what we do, especially if it's a wood feature or whatever. I mean, is it still enough fun to like figure out how to get over that? So That's always my motivator. I will not do this forever. I know that. Like the crap that I do is gnarly, and I rolled the dice, and I've rolled the dice for last month, and I knew that it's possible, like, to really hurt myself. And that's why I train so much at the gym, is to try to like offset the what ifs. But I mean, it happens. So
yeah. For the folks that are wondering what that looks like, I'll post that up here. The one that you were reporting from the emergency room. But before we go in, that Lauren is saying, I'm tuning into Kaylee's TED Talk. Make it happen. Make it happen. So she wants to see that. So for the folks that are listening on Instagram and Spotify, if you go to Kaylee Gibb on Instagram, you'll be able to see this. It's the second row, I believe, down on it's the first one. Here, I'm going to play it for us.
I had 3 pins, so it's probably like right under it.
Okay, here we go. I'm going to give it a little bit of audio here. Let's see. So for the folks who haven't seen this, here it comes.
Oh, yeah. It's hilarious.
Dislocate a shoulder, break an arm. Just so you know, you do not have to cut off your favorite shirt. Peel off the goods.
Here, we'll go here. We're clipping it back. Here we go.
And Ms. Guyver coming to you live from the emergency room. I just wanted to give you guys a few pro tips. When you decide to wad yourself off the side of a trail, and dislocate a shoulder, break an arm. Just so you know, you do not have to cut off your favorite shirt. Peel off the good side and wad down underneath your elbow and support it. Keep your head in your shirt. And you have made yourself a sling, my friends.
Oh, wait, no, Kaylee.
Oh my God, she has it. She totally has it.
She's doing it. It's the kitty shirt.
This is my favorite shirt.
That was what you were wearing the day you went down?
This is my shirt.
Look at all those cats. It's like the elves. There's Nerdy Cat, Confused Cat.
Trey Chic, Magical, Confused, Cool.
Oh, that's awesome.
I got this at the DI. I think it's like a youth size 14, 16. I think it's from Walmart. I was like, don't cut my shirt off. I have to have this shirt. We got to figure it. It took 3 of us to get it off because it was like caught on the front of my Liette pad and caught on the back of my Liette pad. And I was like, we got to figure this out. So I was able to get the shirt off, but I was not able because the Liette stuff is so tight around your elbows. And we tried in the hospital and I was like, frack, I don't want to cut this off. I was like, well, if I do, I'll just end up giving it to somebody. So I had a girlfriend that just concussed herself. So I'll be giving that to her. But yeah, I crashed at like 7:40 and then we're 2 features into the trail's called Natty's or All Natural. And it's pretty freaking steep, like right down the fall line. So we had to hike back up the 2 features and then ride down Monkey, which Monkey is full of rocks. It's just like 3 miles of rocks. And then you go into like single track on the way out. So, and I got Danny with me, Cami Negra and Will White, who's ex-Rampage rider, Cami Negra, like #1 free rider, one of the top free riders in the world right now. And then Danny, who's ridden Rampage features that, but he's a hobbletrons. He's got he's like at a half a foot, can barely walk straight. And I'm stop being chivalrous. I'm like, there's 2 other people, let them carry up my bike because he's like got a bone fragment in his foot right now, but like riding anyways because he can't handle it. Wow. So we had to freaking hike our bikes back up the trail, and that crash was crazy.
Was that just to get out of there? You had to hike back up the trail to get out?
Mm-hmm.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
Dislocated shoulder and a broken arm is what you got from that one?
No.
Oh.
So I actually, it is infraspinatus and supraspinatus. So you have 4 that attach your rotator cuff into the front. There's one that goes through the collarbone. So that one's gone. And then that's the supraspinatus. The infraspinatus is the one that goes around this way, around the top. That one's gone. And then something's wrong with the deltoid anterior. And then he said, what did you do to your labrum? Which is what attaches the collarbone down. I was like, I have no idea. Nothing. He's like, it's frayed on the end. He's like, but that's chronic. He's like, that's been there a while. I was like, I have no idea. Well, there was something here. So there's 2 missing tendons, some kind of tear in this thing. But I can use my bicep today. So I've been holding my phone. Probably not supposed to, but I need to see the doctor tomorrow, and I'll figure out what's wrong with me.
Wow. I can see Mia's over there. She's got questions. She's got questions for you. She's like, dang, girl.
It's bad.
No, that's crazy.
So I've been interviewing. I've been on the phone literally all day. We had like a impromptu business meeting, had almost like a half an hour call with someone who had this surgery. I've called Cam McCall, I called Tyler McCall, and be like, how are your shoulder surgeries? What's the rehab? What'd you do afterwards? Like, I have all kinds of buddies. I'm kind of like the nurse doctor around here because I do all this like experimenting stuff on myself. So all of my buddies that free ride are like, okay, what'd you do now? What's the like latest practice? What are you doing? So I was like interviewing every day, and then your guys' phone call. So yeah, surgery is probably, but it's pretty gnarly. They take like a little anchor and then like, so I've never had surgery. I've lucked out all these times. Like my handbrake, I didn't need surgery for. My ankle, I didn't, like, it was just a small break. My collarbone should have had surgery. I didn't need it, but I blew up a bursa sac on my knee. I should have blew my whole knee off. Like I broke the knee pad in half. Like it should have like,
dude,
it should have destroyed my legs. It was like 15 feet to my knees on A-line. And it was like hard pack, like as hard pack as you get on dirt.
Oh yeah, it's like concrete in some areas there.
Yeah, and I freaking rode the hill down. Thanks, Liette.
Oh,
thanks, Liette. Like,
yeah,
that was Liette's.
God.
It was
wow.
bad.
What feature on A-Line was it the moon booter? Did you send it all crazy on that one, or?
I had a goal to flip the tombstone.
What?
But that was another one that like kind of went mini viral, I think on TikTok, but I don't even know how to get on TikTok anymore. But there is it's a pretty bad crash. Let me see if you can find it, Joey. It's it's ugly. It's called the hospital flip. That was the one that I did that one too.
Oh my
And I
God.
actually didn't go to the hospital. I had to cook for 13 people after that. So
Oh my God.
Kaylee.
it was turkey dinner that night. And I had like literally 13 people waiting. I was like, okay, I got to go cook a turkey, put gravy in. And then after the party, I'll go to the hospital because it would be less people.
I have no bursa sac left, but
That's insane.
how's the gravy?
It was delicious. And I sat for the whole party after that.
Oh my gosh.
So I've had
This
some
woman has
gnarly
no
crashes.
pain.
Yes.
Oh,
You feel
That-
no pain.
well, I don't take any painkillers. I broke a little piece in my back and hyperextended my knee in a snowboarding crash. This kid hit me from behind, and I took codeine, hydrocodone or something, like one of them on the way home, and I like bawled the whole way. I don't have friends, Mom. I don't know what I'm doing with my life. And she flushed them all down the toilet. But from like 17 years old to that day, I hadn't taken anything but ibuprofen. Like even when I was like gave birth and like had babies, like the most I took was like ibuprofen. They did do an epidural on one of my babies because all broke loose. But
On one of them. Holy
that
cow.
day I took like 2 or 3 codeine to finish dinner, and then I went to the emergency room. But that's all I've ever had, like ever in my life. Like
Wow.
and
Wow, Kaylee.
That's insane.
I probably should, like there's probably some dumb stuff I've done. I don't know. Did you find the hospital flip one? Let me see what's that.
I can see he's
You're
scrolling through
muted,
now.
Joey.
I can
Yeah,
see
he's
that
muted. I don't think he knows.
for the folks that were have looked over Kaylee Gibb,
Oh, there
her
it is.
Instagram. There is Kaylee's got it. She's gonna show us here.
It may pull up. Oh, I changed it. So I actually crashed twice on the jump. This was the first crash.
Oh,
And I thought I kind of maybe like broke the tip of my finger and like jammed it into my thigh.
you got up right away.
And I was like, I gotta try one more time. I think I can. I was like, my braking fingers still work. And this was 3 days to close at Whistler. I have never missed, like, since moving up there in the summers. You don't miss last day. It's so fun. We like dress up. I should say, not everybody dresses up, but I make all my friends dress up in my spandex. Like I give them all like crazy spandex and like jewelry, and we get like outfits from the thrift store. So it should be close to that one. I don't know why the hospital flip one didn't come up.
That is fun. That is fun. So yeah, I'm looking at some of the clips here. Here's one. I think this is just actually there's dressed
Love
up
the
in
Borat.
spandex.
That's probably that might be a last day one. What's the date on that? Like typically we'll dress up for last day. Like, and it's usually something.
Kaylee, when you said that might be last day, that tells me sometimes you guys just go out like that. It's pretty epic. That's pretty epic. Here's one.
We
Someone
really
looks like-
enjoy, like, I just find it's so much fun when I can get people to do stuff that they're uncomfortable doing.
This looks like you sending Moon Booter. I can see that giant berm coming down on A-line.
This
Right
one is
Good grief.
you come down
Nope.
through. This is right before Moon Booter. That's the no-hander lander one, isn't it? Is that the no-hander lander? Or is that the Moon Booter?
That's
Oh, that's
insane.
the Moon Booter. That's right. That's the one where my buddy blows up his tire. He whipped it but did not come back. Or he
Oh.
did. He came
Ooh.
back from it, but he blew up his tire. You can hear it if you listen to that video. It's like kapow.
Wow. That thing,
I
it doesn't really show on camera. That thing is ginormous. The Moon Booter is ginormous. And that berm, it feels like you're coming down off of a 10-story building is what it feels like.
It does. It has like a lot of G-forces that comes in. When you do it right, it's a lot of fun.
Yeah, I was braking all the way up the lip. I was like, stop.
Oh, here it is. It's the TikTok. Oh, this is ugly. It's the double barred one. So if you see that one, the double barred one, if you want to pull it up on your screen, that's the one that I went to my knees.
Is that
It
on
was
TikTok?
So ugly.
Oh.
It was
okay.
It was really ugly. But that's the one where I cracked the knee pad like down the middle. Like I couldn't believe my leg was still on when I like rolled over to the side eventually. It was like, am I all intact?
Wow. That is okay. I see one. Was it your left knee? Was it the left knee, the right knee?
Let me feel which one.
Yeah, it's that one.
It's the right knee because my right knee's still numb.
Okay.
My toes caught on my handlebars. Otherwise, I would have come around. Like I ditched it in a good amount of time because I missed the pop. I tried. This jump is really complicated to flip because you have to swing out and do 3 pumps on whoops, which I'm not good at, and then turn back rider's right, and then carve off the lip. So it's a really complicated jump to just flip.
Wow.
And I should have taken that into factor, but I had kind of set this goal to like flip at Whistler, and that's really like the closest one you can do. Wow. There's a bunch of people that tried to step up off of Dirt Merchant, and they eat crap unless you're Reese and you can clear the entire 30-foot bridge before going into it. There's no way I would try that step up.
Good grief.
Stephanie Mitch could try that one and ate crap hard, like road rash all over her body.
Wow.
This one's hilarious.
Look, Mom, no hands.
I did another remash up that was funnier than that one.
That is awesome. For the folks who haven't been to Whistler, man, that place is like, it is so fun. There is so much good stuff there. I mean, some of those bigger trails like Dirt Merchant and just some of those features are just insane for me. Those things are crazy.
The problem is they build them so well that if you're fairly confident following someone, that you can clear a lot of stuff. There are so many people I know that come back and destroy themselves on trails because you gain so much confidence because those jumps are so well built. Like
I've heard a
phenomenal job.
I've heard of that. They actually call it the Whistler curse or something like that?
Probably the Whistler syndrome. You go and you get you gain super confidence. Like I can jump 20-foot gaps. Like that's no problem, except in reality, when you go out to like Rampage, you're like, oh, you actually need to pedal twice into that or you will case the backside of it. Oh, it's a little bit side windy, so you need to brake check into it this time with no pedals. Like there's so much that goes into everything else, but there's so many trees there that your factors are so limited. It's so good.
Right. Mountain Bike Q&A is saying, no hands. I'm going to sell my bike tomorrow.
It's fun. You should try sometime.
That is awesome. Oh, Mia, did you have any questions that you had for Kaylee that you wanted to ask?
Dude, I have so many questions, but I know we're running out of time. I might have to have Kaylee on our podcast.
Yeah.
I can talk forever, girl. Don't you worry.
No, but also you did answer a lot because I had questions like, how do you overcome your injuries? And you did talk about that really well. And there's a lot of women that come to me asking for advice, even with what gear to wear for bike park season. We're putting something together for that. So maybe I might hit you up for that.
Oh,
too.
I got you covered. Literally.
Yeah. We're hoping to launch something in the start of June because bike park season is going to, at least in California, if the snow melts, we'll be able to actually
right.
do that. But, Yeah, no, you're amazing. I do have one more question though, is what bike are you riding right now?
Okay. So that's a loaded question.
Figured.
I'm on Scott's bikes. I ride the Genius when I pedal. And
Okay.
then due to like all the shortages and stuff, for my big bike, like if you want to be total free ride and downhill, the Gambler has actually won one of the lightest. There was like a pink bike buildup, like where they did like the fastest, lightest bike, and the Gambler was one of the two. I believe it won, but I'm on a small Gambler. I technically am riding for EXT now, but I have Marazaki bombers on it, and they work great. They're so simple. EXT is phenomenal as well. That crash makes me so sad because we had just changed out my spring setup because I had it set up like a free ride bike. So the problem with my riding is I do a lot of like jumpy stuff and then I do technical stuff. So the setups are really tough. And I have Danny, who's a phenomenal mechanic, and then Brett, who's my photographer, like a videographer guy, who's a phenomenal mechanic, my husband. So I am worthless when it comes to like setting up stuff. They'll get on it and be like, "Oh, your axle's falling out. Did you not hear that?" I'm like, "Well, it's chattery down the trail. My feet were blowing off. Like, yeah, something's wrong with the bike. Oh, you have no pressure in your tires. There's 12 pounds." I'm like, "Oh, no wonder I had so much grip. It was great." Like, it's bad, like really bad. But my bike, oh my gosh, those boys dial. The Gambler is phenomenal for little people. Like, it's a 27.5 small frame with a small reach. I don't know what it is. It's got to be under 15 inches because my pivots that I used to ride on had a 16-inch reach on the Firebird, and it killed me once I got onto a Mach 6. Extra small was unreal. It's very BMXy, but I did like the small better. So now that I'm on Scott's, the Genius Small is a really good pedal bike, like really good. So I love the Genius right now. So for the movie bike, we're fully building a Ransom Freeduro. So we're going to do 190 in the front. So
I was going to see what's the travel, 200 both sides?
No, I think it's 180 in the back of the Ransom, and it'll be 190 in the front. The boys are all doing the math and making sure it's like technical and like good. And they really think that that's going to be the ticket, like the tickety boo bike of like being able to pedal it, being able to maneuver down natties, which is super techy. My only concern would be Kong, which is really heavy flat drops, which when you ride them correctly, you still have whiplash for 2 weeks. Like when I rode that trail, and it's posted a few back of me like finishing Kong for the first time properly from top. Like I've done all the features, but never in one run. That run, I did it all in one feature. I still had whiplash for 2 weeks, even riding the trail, no crashes. So that's my only concern is that specific trail. Like I wouldn't like if I wanted to go out and ride something bigger, I wouldn't ride something like this. Like Kong maxes out flat drops for me. Like I would rather do something bigger with a better landing. And that bike being 180, EXT has like this closeout. Those are little free ride lines we've been working on. So my whole focus right now is front brake control. Like I want to learn how to technically ride slower. And that's been all of my focus right now. So we're building up, and I haven't dropped that for a year and a half at least because I've been injured so many times and I haven't gotten back to it. But that is kind of
what brakes do you have on there?
Shimano's EXT to Saints, depending on the bike. But a crazy fact, I just had to write in my Shimano bio, what do they call it? Bio. I've never been on anything but Shimano, like ever.
Nice.
Like, since the beginning, we've been full Shimano. Now, there are other good brakes out there, but I'm fairly finicky on how close I can bleed the brakes, like literally almost to the handlebars. And I've just been on Saints and XTs since 2000. Since Ryan's gotten bikes for us, I've only been on Shimano stuff.
Amazing.
And their components are awesome. And when you break as many derailleurs as I do, I'm like, okay, I'll just do all Dior brake, like because I know I'm going to go through them. I literally got a full like cableless shifter, and I was like, Danny, take it off my bike. Like I'm not going to like ride this ride and break this like $400 derailleur. I'm like, I will go with the cheapest one because I know in 2 rides it will be bent, and you'll have to unbend it, and I'll get like 2 more rides out of it, and I'll crash on it. So
that's amazing. That's amazing.
I do love Shimano.
I'm definitely going to hit you up so we can do a bike check of this new bike at some point.
Oh my gosh, we're going to paint it this weekend. We're painting the forks. It's
That's incredible. I had seen you had done some stuff with Technar. Is Technar gonna be helping with
Technar
some of
painted
that?
one of my helmets. I'm gonna do like at least 3 helmets. He did one of my first ones. That's the one I crashed in on that video. Is literally his second ride. It was second ride in that helmet. I'm like, what is the curse with new helmets? I even dropped it in my truck. Like I did the little like ding in the truck. Like,
Yeah, for good luck. Yeah.
but what's crazy about that helmet is that crash all absorbed into my shoulder. My head didn't ever touch the ground.
Oh,
I had
Wow.
there's a little teeny scratch on the helmet up here from the bush, like rolling into the bush. But otherwise, that helmet's still tickety boo. So we're good. I was very nervous to like pull it out because I hadn't looked at it after crashing. And I pulled it out, and actually Danny dropped my goggles lens side down, and they were brand new too. And he's like, no, not the
Oh no. You're like, just kick me while I'm down.
It was so funny. We laughed. I was like, it's good, Danny. Good job. Good job. Good job. But
That's gorgeous, that helmet.
But I do love Technar. He's got some absolutely incredible stuff that he's done. So that's why I like reached out to him. I was like, yeah, buddy, like, what are we gonna do? So I have a whole outfit that matches that setup. And then that's gonna go with probably, I have a teal outfit, and this one I'm working on. I still haven't finished. We got to print like stickers, but I've been working with like epoxy, alcohol ink and epoxy.
Wow.
That's my Galaxy one. It's taken like, and I'm going to do a white paint splatter one because I have like 2 different outfits. I haven't done a mica coat, but there's like these little flecks of glitter in there. So it's like proper, like glittery.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, look at that.
So we got to do the decals on the back, and maybe this one will show a little bit better.
Trail Pip say, put on the helmet.
It doesn't have any pads. It would look really funny.
Oh yeah,
lighting in here doesn't really like give you like glitter effect, and it's still kind of like textured from the epoxy, so it doesn't have, but this stuff is pretty glittery, so it'll be fun. So I'll have like a Galaxy one, and then his, and then I'm gonna do we love art. Like that's part of the thing too. It's like I hate free ride clothes. I feel like a little boy, and then like Leah will be like, Shawana will be like, you're gonna ride all the gear, Pearl Zumi. I'm like, oh, then I look like a roadie. Or with the Leah, it's like I look like a 14-year-old tomboy. I'm like, no, I just want some like crazy spray painted spandex with a cat shirt from the DI. Like I'm gonna paint my helmet crazy colors. So
it sounds like you're ready to create your own line.
So many times. Like it's fairly inappropriate, but yes, we'll have a few funny lines. Let's just say I hope to be able to still do my funny video. We've got a competition we're going to do between the 3 of us. There'll be some funny videos come out while I can't ride. So,
well, I meant like your own clothing line.
It has something to do with that because we want to start wearing t-shirts in all of our videos, like funny t-shirts that are so funny. And we're not going to be able to pick them because the dynamic of the 4 of us is pretty funny. It's like the 3 Stooges and me. And so it's like we just constantly make fun of each other. And so, yeah, I'm so excited to like start into the filming portion of the film rather than like we've been doing lots of little things, but literally we are on the last few things. This bike, like painting the forks was supposed to happen. They got a random job went to Paraguay, so we couldn't paint them when they left. But like, yeah, so many things have stopped us. This project is like 3 years extended, but it's cool. It's cool. So yes, I would love my own clothing line. I've tried. It's just, it's on the project list of like a million things I want to do. And we never know where it's going to take us, but that is on the list. So we're going to start selling the t-shirts from the videos, but they're going to be funny. Like
that's gonna be awesome. So it'd be like if we were riding, I'd pick a shirt out for you, Mia, and you'd have to wear it.
Be like, and there's only gonna be 5. There's only gonna be 4 of the t-shirts, and be like, I want to buy that as the first people that's gonna DM us and be like, you get like, and Danny's my size, and we haven't told him this yet, but Ryan's like, we'll always advertise his as youth large. For his t-shirt size, and they'll have to wear them whether it's gonna be belly button showing or whatever. Like it's always like the funny joke.
You signed up for it, you gotta wear it.
Like I'm 5'7". I'm like, Danny, we're the same height, and I'm 5'3". He's like, nope, It's my driver's license says I'm 5'7". I'm like, okay, I don't know how you're feeling. Like,
The driver's license says it.
maybe with your mullet extended, you were 5'7".
I'm with Danny. Hey, let me put my shoes on before you take my measurements here.
You and Vin Diesel, just make sure you guys all
Yeah.
just, like, line up together. Big boots.
Exactly. Kaylee, before we let you go, as you're going through this whole project and everything that you're doing out there, let's give love to some of the companies that have been giving love to you and supporting you. Who would you like to give shout outs to?
Well, in the beginning, I had my immediate sponsors that like picked me up. Shimano has been there from like Ryan has some really good relationships at Shimano, and regardless of what I did, our guy there was always like, "You're gonna ride, we'll support you. Like we're on board." And there's been a lot of change at Marzocchi, and I really enjoyed riding for Marzocchi. Their product is like amazing. And this year I joined with EXT, and their suspension setups are pretty phenomenal. They're going through a lot of there are a lot of new products coming. They're from Italy. So there's going to be a lot of new stuff coming down the pipe. It's going to take some time to get their stuff. Kenda this year was a huge push, and Kenda is the one that actually allowed us to hire Brett. So by having him pull on as our market media, the sponsorship through Kenda paid for him to be able to come with us. Yeah, that one.
Wow.
And Liette, that's another one. So Shimano and Liette have been since like the day I started biking. So when we were in Whistler one year, it was like we approached the booth because Ryan's been in the industry since he was one of the OG free riders. My husband was. So he's had connections and filmed Tyler Clausen and filmed Matt Hunter and like all the guys. So we approached Liette and was like, hey, we really like, it was their first run of their neck braces. And I think it was like 2010 or something, or maybe their second run. And we approached and was like, hey, can we get industry cost on those? Because we were broke living in a minivan. And they're like, yeah, sure. So I've been riding on Liette stuff since 2010 and wouldn't have it any other way. Like there are a couple other helmet companies that are very comparable, like protection wise, but because I love all of Liette, like I wear all of their gear, it only made sense to like stick with them. And they've been super supportive. Anytime I break a helmet or anything, they've been awesome. And I've gone through, Pivot was wonderful when I had them. Their bikes are phenomenal. They just wanted to focus more on race. And so I went to Scott, and the Scott bikes, oh my gosh, that Gambler is so capable. Like to have a DH bike that still is meant for smaller people. Like it's not, I don't know. I'm not a racer. I don't like to go fast. So my shout outs to definitely, my number one is Kenda this year though. They have been the biggest support and help and has allowed us to get Brett on, which was huge. Like,
that's awesome.
It's been so nice.
That's so cool. And Roger seems to be everywhere. Everywhere you go, Roger's there, and he's the nicest guy. I love that dude.
He's got my back. Like so, like amazing human. Like seriously amazing human.
That is very cool. And then Kaylee, as far as the movie project goes, tell folks a little bit about where or kind of maybe when we might be able to see it and where we might be able to see little snippets or maybe starting to see promos of this.
Okay, so it kind of depends on how it works out. We're still, as we film and move along, if we get like there's possibilities of like a proper sponsor for the movie, like one umbrella. And if we pick up a single sponsor for the whole movie, it kind of depends on their platform, like what they would like to do with it, because they'll own the movie, they'll own the rights or whatever the case may be. But up until that point, like we want full creative. So we'll be letting out little pieces of the teaser, and we're going to start doing some more photo shoots just to kind of like build artistic creativity of like the mindset. There's a lot of mindset like that people struggle with, and I feel like art is a really beautiful way to explain it. So there's been some like NFT style stuff that we've wanted to do, and getting all these new cameras. We've got like 4 new cameras and 3 new drones. It's just like constantly like all new lenses, and
wow,
we've got some really cool like water shots we want to do. And so we're going to start posting some, especially now while I'll find out tomorrow if it's surgery or not, but it's like 90% surgery. It'll just be a win. So I'll be out like physically, like from the sounds of it, probably for a month, like not being able to do much, but then we'll be able to start filming. We're going to start filming the car stuff immediately. We're just swapping. So we were supposed to start filming biking now, but now that it's like 4 to 6 months, possibly, like my goal would be to do the whip off at Crankworks, but that's in July. It may be like asking a bit much, but if I could, I would love to do the whip off and have that start biking. So we'll be doing snippets, and then we're gonna do a worldwide stint run of film festivals like we did with Life Cycles, but kind of dependent upon what the length is that it ends up. It could be a Netflix things as well. So it's kind of on the fence, dependent upon the sponsor, because at the end is when we'll probably be able to pick up sponsors easier. Due to the fact that we have the content to be like, do you want to like label this yours? It's got a lot of woman powerhood of basically saying, changing character roles, like feeling guilt for like living your whole life of like, I thought I was supposed to be this way and I know it's not me, and like fighting against that. So it's going to have a lot of, it'll be like a very touchy documentary besides and artistic wise. So there's a lot of overlap of different opportunities for sponsorship. It's not really fit in the bike world besides the fact that I am a professional biker, but it's more on like changing the mental state of being of like, growing up and living in a certain way religiously and like mindset wise, but like really finding your place in the world. So there's lots of opportunities. So it's kind of exciting. Like we kind of get to do whatever we want, like as we go.
That's amazing. That's awesome.
That's
And
awesome.
yeah. Mia, what do you were saying?
I'm just like my mind is blown right now. Like I'm thinking of so many things that I want to be involved with and know more about, especially like a lot of women struggle with that mindset of you should have done this in life, and you find mountain biking later in life. And it's like, can I do this? Should I do this? Like, why not? There are dudes riding way into their 60s and 70s and having a great time. Why can't women do that? It's the same type of thing. And that's the message, one of the messages we're trying to put out there. So I'm just like, I want to be involved with this. How can I help you? How can I help you do this?
I could see it. I could see Mia going, oh my gosh, this woman's amazing. I need to be a part of this. I need to help.
Yeah, if I could quit my full-time job right now and do this full-time like I'm trying to, the network, I would just do it and be like, okay, Kaylee, I'm coming out to Utah. I'm going to help you.
I would love it. And that's the coolest thing happened out of my crash video. Like, the reason why I'm so open and honest, and people meet me and they're like, I do have a gift and I know it of just accepting people. Like I'm very accepting. I don't care. You want to go drink and you want to like trash your life? Fine. Do you need a designated driver? Call me. Like I will support you. I'm not going to agree with what you're doing with yourself. But if you need to come over and detox, do that. Like whatever. Like I've always been very supportive of people, but for Instagram, it's like so degrading. Like it's so hard to not like look at other people's stuff and be like, oh my gosh, why am I not doing this? Why am I not more perfect?
Right.
Why am I not this way? And so I've tried to constantly keep it very real. Like you're going to get every side of me and they're not pretty. And I try not to use filters. I have makeup on today and I did it with my left hand. And I was very excited. So I showered for the first time since I crashed. Okay. So if you could smell me through this video, it'd been very repulsive, but it's like, I want to be like honest. Like, and so when I posted that video, Ryan's like, are you really like, you want to do? I'm like, I want to do a video before I walk into the ER. Let's do this. Like, and he's like, okay, let's get the emergency in here, like sign. And it's like, somebody emailed me and said, I'm so glad I saw your video because my friend just broke her arm on the trail and we were able to use the t-shirt thing and give her a sling and she walked out 2 miles.
Wow.
I'm not even kidding. So I was like, check, done. Like video is worth it. Like there's just, all I want to do is be able to help one person. That's always my goal of all my videos, whether it's making
God, it's like you're in my head.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I do a lot of stupid humor that people are like, I have lost so many, like thousands. Like I'll lose 1,000 at a time because I'll post a kid post. And it's like, that's what I am. I have 3 children. I'm religious. I'm super open to other ideas. I love food and I struggle mentally. Like I have mental health issues, like hands down. Like I deal with anxiety that's like horrible, but I have figured out ways to like cope. And sometimes I do better and I'm super open about it. So that's the video. And that's kind of like the point of my videos. And so I hope that it's basically like we want, like you were asking how we're going to stream it. I don't know. I want it to be able to reach the masses. That's the whole point. Like, so however we do that, I want it on the biggest platform possible. So.
Yeah. No, that's great. That's awesome. It's like you're in my head because I'm exactly the same way. And I've been struggling recently with mental health issues myself. And so it's like, how much do I put that out there to this professional network that I'm growing? But at the same time, people need to hear it and they need to know that they're not alone. It's so common and we have to help and support each other. And yeah, hearing you say that is pretty much the same thing. I feel the same way. I feel the exact same way.
Yeah. I love it. You do see so many sides of Kaylee and Mia. Knowing you as a friend, I see all the genuineness. And one of the posts, Kaylee, that I come back to in my mind, you posted, "Learn how to do CPR. You never know when you're going to need it and use it." And that was a very heavy post because at the same time, I had just started a free ride program with this company, SSB, and they had told me that the Hill Slayer was out your way and was hit by a lady driving a car, and him and his brother had passed. And then I saw your post and I just thought, oh my gosh, was Kaylee there at the same time? Was it them? It must be, it's the same area. It must have been. And that was raw. That was raw. You posted it, but you posted it because I could see you wanted to help. You wanted to help them. You wanted other people to help other people if they come across this. And that's, I was hey, I don't want to say the word fan. I just had a lot of respect for you, like turning the camera on in that vulnerable moment and putting that message out there.
Yeah,
It was rough. Yeah, and I was the first one, or I was like second one on the scene, but he was gone already. But it was like, it was all you could do to like what do you do in that situation, So it's like I have a following that needs to hear it, and we just had the same discussion yesterday between the four of us. We're gonna be filming. We all need to go brush up on CPR. Like, I just broke myself. We're gonna be out in the middle of nowhere. We need to know how to tourniquet a leg. So it's on my to-do list again of like, I need to do a bike shop and get like 10 of us and go do a course, because all you're going to do is be able to help other people.
Right.
Yep.
Yes,
100%.
definitely. So 100%. And that's what I love about this mountain biking community too, is like everyone has that similar something that we're trying to do to help each other. We're out there helping ourselves, whether it's like you're riding to get rid of anxiety, to be in the moment, to do these things. And it's nice to see that support and camaraderie. I love it. I love it. Oh, this just in on another note, Mark, the beer was called Pliny the Elder. So there you go. Pliny the Elder was the beer.
Your beer, like what you that's from the beginning.
Yes. Yeah, from the beginning of the show.
Jess just texted me back and she said
Can't
that's
forget
what it was.
Exactly. Oh, Kaylee, I cannot wait to see this documentary when it comes out. This is so exciting that you are filming this. You guys are in the works for this. This is coming out soon, or I don't want to say when, but I'm stoked. Mia, what do you
Oh, I'm stoked.
I can see it.
I'm gonna message Kaylee like right after we log off here so we can start.
She's like, end the podcast, Mark, so I can get her on my show. Kaylee, you are so awesome. Thank you so much for jumping on the Segment podcast. I really appreciate it. In closing, is there anything that you'd like to share with the audience, ours or your audience, in closing?
The thing that comes to me that's most important is the few people that you surround yourself with, like regardless of what that is. It makes the biggest influence in your life. It's a reflection of who you are, whether you're biking or whether you're not, how you want to improve yourself. If you're looking to be a better artist, you surround yourself with people who are like complete artists and inspire you. You're limited to what you can do yourself, but when you're like around other people who are massively creative in whatever genre, it's really helpful. And same thing with bad situations, and for me, I think like I reflect back on my entire life, and from the time I was a little kid, I made some like pact to myself that I would marry my best friend. And I literally married my best friend. Like, we spend like every day together, like almost all day, every day. Like, there's like very little time that we're apart, and when we are like texting, like, so it's really cool to like have that support system, because he's my biggest support. And having 3 kids, you can't do that by yourself per se, unless you're like really wealthy, because I don't know any other way to do that. And it's like, we kind of live a lifestyle where it's like, we make enough money to have fun and we travel the world. We just try to have less things so we can like be mobile and move and have more experiences. And yeah, I think my biggest like word of advice is like, really surround yourself with people that you really want to be like and that inspire you. And so, yeah, I have my best friend with me all the time, which is pretty awesome.
That is awesome. What a great way to close that segment out. My goodness.
Yeah.
Iron sharpens iron, and that's a great that is a great testimony to it right there. Kaylee Gibbs, ladies and gentlemen, I can't believe you're on the show. Thank you so much for everything you do, and I hope that we get to see the documentary soon on a giant platform. And in signing off, tell the folks where they can find you on social media and your website.
Kaylee Gibb on Instagram, KayleeGibb.com. Pretty simple.
There we go, folks. Thank you so much for tuning in. Thank you to the chats. Look forward to seeing you all soon out on the trails. Mountain Bike Q&A says, preach it, Kaylee. I love it. I love it. I love it. We'll leave you guys on this also positive note. Make sure whatever it is you have coming up, whatever it is you're going through, you're the one to do it. So put in that hard work, because all your hard work will always pay off.
Okay.
See you guys on the next episode.
See ya. Bye, guys.